An adventure begins with the smallest of strides, for with this step, you will be the furthest you have ever been away from home. Hi there. This is going to be a somewhat more personal video than most, and while all reflections of my art are somewhat personal, I hope you'll stick around and enjoy. Travel is the soil in which the seed of our soul begins to grow and blossom, and I mean that quite literally. From our historic fables to the very core of our oldest beliefs, travel, journey, exploring our horizons, and venturing beyond into the far mists of the outer wilds is in our blood. And while this quote of Carl Sagan ends with the cosmos, I believe it's apt for this. Exploration is in our nature. We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still. Leaving home, all you've ever known is both hard and easy, given the circumstances. Truth be told, I have felt both. When I had just graduated high school or secondary school for my overseas friends, I was excited to head off somewhere I had never been. In my usual fashion, I threw myself into the deep end without much regard for anything. These actions would come back to bite me in the ass later. I left what was essentially a village and moved over 1,000 miles to a large city, a different climate, a different biome, and a massively different culture just to go to college. Sure, I could have gone to a reputable university closer to home, and trust me, I probably should have, but I wanted to get as far as away I could from rural living in a place that smelled like shit half of the year. Because, agriculture. This change shook me, but not in the way I was expecting. Through it all, I grew. And yeah, I visited home often, arguably more than anyone else that lived in the dormitories did. Thoughts of home and family kept me coming back. But being so far away from any relatives, any support, it shows who you are. Really who you are. In my time at college, I developed stories that I'm still writing, met lifelong friends that I love talking to now, even though I haven't seen some of them in over 5 years. I received grievous harm and lifelong injuries that I'm still reconciling with. I lost and gained loves and learned so many things. And through it all, I still dream of travel, of exploration. It's not for everyone though, and that's okay. Certainly it wasn't for everyone in the Shire, and while not going through near what Bilbo, Frodo, Sam, Pippin, and Merry did in their adventures, I certainly resonate with them. The feeling of leaving home for a long period of time, going through what you do and having your eyes opened, and more than anything, being away for so long your place changes. Frodo, upon returning with the burdens on his shoulders, can't find rest. It's been noticed by many already that the Hobbit's journey in Tolkien's work is relative and derivative of his own real-world experiences in the horrors of the Great War. I think the channel Curious Archive, in their video To Kill the Sacred Worm, put it best when talking on the subject of feeding pastoral farmers into the meat grinders of artillery warfare. Their video will be linked in the description. It's amazing. Please go watch it after this one. But most impactful is that Frodo has lost his place when he returns. And not literally, he still lives at Bag End, but the trauma that he endured cannot allow him to rest. And I think we can all relate to that. And I think on a less serious note, if you've ever been away from home for months at a time, you can relate to this feeling as well. Sure, your bed will be there, your friends will be glad to see you, but there will be a shift. You will be out of place. And it's not even a bad thing. You've changed as all things must. There are very few true constants in nature, and humans are not one of them. Our place hasn't changed, but how we view it has. You will no longer find humor in the things you once did. You like food you used to despise. You notice things that you never have before. Or more appropriately, you've come to appreciate the things that you once took for granted. A coffee shop with its fun fantasy motif, a place where you used to gather with friends that you have grown apart from, a home, a family pet, a family member. All of those are things that I have lost at one moment or another while I have been away. For when you leave, other things might leave too. Such is life, and it's hard to be okay with those things. It's hard to understand and come to grips with the nature of impermanence. But unfortunately, everything is, and that's okay. If everything lasted forever, would you appreciate it? When I arrived at college, I was insufferable. I would not stop talking about home like the village bore I was. So much so that at one point, my nickname was my hometown, and that every time I made a reference to it, my friends would jokingly give me shit for it in a way that I find amusing now, and I myself make fun of it for. What I didn't realize at the time, though, was that I was beginning to appreciate my home in a way I never had before. But as time went on, and as the people in my hometown grew, they grew without me. I was never unwelcomed, never felt that I was bothering anyone, and my friends and family were always happy to see me, and I them. Something always felt off, like a shift had occurred. Because one did. There were stories I wouldn't be there to hear, in-jokes that I would never be a part of, references that I would never just understand because I wasn't there to experience them. I was Frodo, returned to the Shire. There, but not at peace. And when I returned from college, from university, the constructive environment that I had just spent 4 years acclimating to and working in was gone. The thing they never explain to you when you are in an art school is that if you cannot get creative work directly out of college and are instead trying to build a business, the structure is no longer there. My routine, my workspace was rug pulled from beneath my feet, and I felt lost. I had to find and rebuild a community and structure that was in place. Find friends that shared my desires for creative expression and business that could be achieved in a communal setting while we all worked on our own projects. And that was fucking hard. I currently cannot go a day without creating something, but back when I first got home from college, it took me what felt like 2 or 3 months just to get back into a steady creative pace without forcing myself to. And eventually, I had determined that I no longer belonged where I was, where I grew up. A place that once held so much importance didn't reject me, but the person I was now was rejecting it. So I made plans to move. My plan was to drive over 3,000 miles to the other side of the United States, visit friends along the way, and couch surf for a few months while I found an apartment. I had a job lined up and ready, packed everything I owned at the time into my Jeep, and drove off. I had a panic attack 5 hours into the drive and reevaluated my life on the shore of Lake Erie while gazing out across the lake at Canada. I was no longer Frodo. I was now Samwise. I had to understand that my experience has caused me to grow again. I was no longer the person that could just hop in my vehicle and move thousands of miles because I wanted to. I returned and had grown once more and realized I had to make a place for myself. There were no undying lands for me to go to find peace. I had to make my peace in the Shire that I had once left behind. And so I did. But just like Sam, my time will come, and I will grow once more. Will I adventure to my undying lands, my Tir Nanog? Who's to say? That portion of the story has yet to be written. So for now, with this step, will be the furthest I have ever grown. Hi there. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate the time you've taken to watch this. And if you would like to join others like Beck3D, Outlander, S. Nepley over my Patreon, you can watch these videos early and ad-free, as well as read my entire comic catalog. You'll get access to all my library of work. I hope to see you there, and regardless of whether or not you do, I thank you for watching and for your support. And I hope you have a good day. Take care.